This is a Louie Tee Network exclusive.
Who else could have been but me, Dormant? Louie Tee, welcome. You are in the lab room. Of course, I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. On the 2016 NFL Draft Prospects 101 series, your guide to some of the biggest and the hottest names of the 2016 NFL Draft. We're talking quarterbacks, and we've knocked down 4 of the big 5 in the 2016 NFL Draft. Let me introduce you to the 5th member of that group, a guy that could easily sneak into the first round. Highly unlikely. I don't think of all the big 5, I think this is the one guy that will not be selected for sure in the first round. But no, I can't say that because the draft process is a tricky one. All it takes is one to fall in love, and this guy could be a first round pick. But nonetheless, I'm talking about Penn State quarterback Christian Hackenberg. Man, it's been a long journey for Christian Hackenberg to get to this point. He came to Penn State as the most highly sought after quarterback out of high school. He commits to Penn State. Among all of the controversy that they had with Joe Paterno and that whole situation, he comes in and Bill O'Brien is his coach. He coached the great Tom Brady in New England. You feel good about this situation, and he has a phenomenal freshman year. We'll talk about all of those things a little bit later on. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's talk about Christian Hackenberg's pros and why this guy could potentially come off the board late first round, definitely in the second. Ideal size. At 6'4", 236, he's a big guy, and that size is going to allow him to be a tough guy in the pocket, make the throws, stand in the pocket, stare down the gun barrel, and get it done. So he's a big quarterback, can see over the line. Ideal size for the position of quarterback in the National Football League. He's got a live arm. Now look, I'm not going to lie to you. There are some throws that I see him make, and I question whether his arm is as strong as advertised. I see him make the hash throws, and I'm like, okay, that's NFL quality right there. That is a NFL talent arm right there. And then he'll throw a deep ball that gets caught up in the wind, it seems like, but I'm not sure if the wind is blowing at all. And I'm like, that looked a little suspect. So I know he can make all the throws, but sometimes I think that his arm isn't as strong as I'm led to believe. And sometimes my eyes, he's one of those guys I would definitely, like the other 4 quarterbacks that I've already run off, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Paxton Lynch, and Connor Cook, they're all quarterbacks that just watching the tape, I can tell they can throw the football anywhere on the field with no problems. This is the guy, Christian Hackenberg is the guy where I'm like, I need to see you throw in person. I'm not sure if you've got as much zip on the football as I think. I'm a little confident, but not sure, a little shaky, but I'm not sure. I need to see it for myself. If there was one of the big 5 that I needed to see throw in person, it'd be Christian Hackenberg. But I think his arm is live and he can get the football just about anywhere on the field. I don't think that's a problem. I worry about the deep ball and him throwing it 50, 60 yards. I don't know if he can do that in the air or not. I'm not quite sure about him throwing a deep ball deep down the field. I'm not sure about that. That's something I would need to see. Functionally mobile. Okay, he doesn't have 2 left feet. He's not Eli Manning or one of these traditional pocket passers that can't move, but he's not running anywhere. Okay, now it could be a con, but I'm not gonna dock him for because I still think he can run when need be. If it's 3rd and 3 and he needs to get 4, I think he can get 4 yards. If it's 3rd and 7, I think he can run for 8 yards, get down and not take a shot. So he's functionally mobile. So I'll give him credit for that. He doesn't have 2 left feet, but I'm telling you right now, you don't want Christian Hackenberg having to tuck it and run because he's not getting where he needs to go at a very high rate of speed. I'll say that much. Poised late in ball games, and there were countless situations that this guy was put in where he had to make plays for his team to put them in a position to win late in ball games. It started in his freshman campaign against Michigan at home against Michigan, who was ranked at the time. He takes his team down the field late in the ball game to tie it up, send it to overtime. They end up going to 4 overtimes before Penn State finally prevails and upsets a ranked Michigan team. Goes on the road to Madison against a ranked Wisconsin team, beats them as well in his freshman year. Shows a lot of poise there on the road in a big environment against a ranked team as a freshman. Goes out and wins in Madison, Wisconsin. In 2014, first game of the season, over in Ireland, they beat UCF. That was a Blake Bortles-led team, and so that was an impressive win. Late in the ball game, they're trailing. They need a field goal to win. Takes his team down the field. Couple of crucial fourth down conversions on that possession. Takes them down the field, leads to a field goal to win the game. Also in 14, and to me, this was the game that sold me on Christian Hackenberg before the 15 season. Was the bowl game. He struggled in 2014, was clearly his worst season of his collegiate career, but they still got a bowl game. They play against Boston College, and I don't watch a lot of college football games start to finish, but for some reason TV was on, and I just happened to watch this game. They're trailing late. He gets the football, he takes them down the field, and he gets them in the end zone. They win the football game. It was a great comeback, and it was another one of those times where I said, this guy has it. He has it. Hasn't been the best season for him. He struggled all year long, hasn't been protected adequately enough. He loses his biggest target on the team in Allen Robinson, who went to the pros, but he still found a way to get it done in the last game of the season, which sent me into that junior season saying, okay, Christian Hackenberg is going to turn the corner in 15, and he didn't. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But that's, to me, Christian Hackenberg and his pros. He's a guy that I feel like has all of the things you're looking for. There's a reason why he was the most highly sought after quarterback in his high school class going into college, is because the guy can play the position and he has some talent. You just got to get it out of him. And that's why a lot of people are connecting the dots to the Houston Texans. And Bill O'Brien, again, hint, hint, the guy that recruited him and got him to come to Penn State, is looking for a quarterback. And maybe it makes sense as to why he decided to forego his senior season and come out into the draft. Because he knows the Texans need a quarterback after watching Billy Ho throw 4 interceptions in the wild card game against the Chiefs. We know the Texans are desperate. And if Christian Hackenberg, the guy that Bill O'Brien went and single-handedly brought to Penn State, is sitting on the board, maybe Bill O'Brien says, hey, I know what this kid is about. I know what he brings to the table. I know he can run my system. Let's bring him in here and make him our starting quarterback. So we'll see, but let's talk about his cons. I think he developed some bad habits over the years. That's the first con. And what I mean by that is, in his freshman year, he had a team around him. The offensive line was better. Remember John Urschel, who plays for the Ravens? He was on that offensive line. You had his left tackle, who is now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, went in the second round, and Donovan Smith was on that team as well, and was on the team the next year in 14. But he had a good offensive line in front of him. He had Allen Robinson to throw the football to, a bevy of tight ends. He was comfortable, and he had a supporting cast that he could rely on to make some plays for him. Allen Robinson goes to the league in 13, and then John Urschel leaves as well. And now you're just left with Donovan Smith at left tackle in a crop of new receivers. And you can start to see the fibers being teared at. Remember, Penn State, with the sanctions, didn't have a lot of resources to go out and get talented football players. And so you can see that he was starting to struggle, especially in that sophomore season. No Bill O'Brien, who leaves and bolts for the NFL, takes the Texans job. So now you get a different situation in there. James Franklin comes in, brings a different offense in, and it just never was the same for him. And the offensive line wasn't good, running game wasn't great. So he felt like he had to win the game by himself, and you could see him pressing things he didn't do in his freshman season. He started to do in his sophomore year, and in his junior season, he tried to do too much, forcing the football, taking sacks, doing things that he shouldn't be trying to do by himself. But because there wasn't a lot of help He starts staring down receivers. He starts forcing the football into tight coverage and going to places with the ball where he shouldn't. And I think that's a byproduct of being spoiled by Allen Robinson, who made a lot of plays for him. There were some plays in that freshman year where you're like, no. Oh, good play by A-Rob to go up and get the football because Hackenberg was throwing him the ball in double coverage. But Allen Robinson, being the playmaker that he was, went up and made plays for him. You take that away and now you start throwing the football up to guys that aren't as adept at making plays, and now all of a sudden those plays turn into interceptions. And so I thought he tried to do too much. He started developing bad habits. His footwork was sloppy. Things that he didn't have to do in his freshman year, he had to do moving forward. And I think he put a lot of the onus on himself to go out and win ball games, and it didn't bode well for Penn State sometimes and some of the mistakes that he would make. Doesn't elude pressure very often. He's very sluggish. And I'm going to go ahead and lump these final two cons together. Doesn't elude pressure often and misses too many throws. Well, you know what? I'm going to separate those because what I want to talk about is he's very lethargic in the pocket. He's got this, a lot of snaps from under or from the shotgun formation. So he'll get the football and he'll just stand there. And I like guys to have movement because that first read may not be open. You may have to go all the way to the opposite side of the field. And if you're just standing there and you're looking to throw the football and it's not there, they take away that first read, you might quickly have to readjust and go here. But if you're flat-footed and you're just standing there and nothing's there, or say the rush is coming, you can't restart your feet just like that and avoid a rusher. You need to be moving. He'll just stand there like, all right, I'm flat-footed. I'm ready to throw the football. And if it's not there, you're stuck. And he'll get sacked because he can't elude pressure because he's just standing there. I don't like his footwork and his mechanics in the pocket. And because of that, I think he takes a lot of sacks. That first read in there, and you're standing flat-footed because you expected him to be open and it's a quick read and you're supposed to get the football out of your hands. Well, look, your offensive linemen are expecting the football to come out, 3 steps, boom, and you just get the football, stand flat-footed, and it's not there. You get sacked. And so there are some things that I'm not fond of with Christian Hackenberg, especially his footwork in the pocket. And I think that lends itself to the final con, which is why I kind of wanted to lump them together, but they're separate entities. He misses way too many throws for me. Of all the quarterbacks that I've talked about in this process of the Big Five, this guy is the most inaccurate of all of them. And I talked about Connor Cook and some of his struggles outside the pocket. Well, I don't have a Connor Cook in the pocket problem, but I do with Christian Hackenberg. He misses way too many throws. There's a throw in that same Boston College bowl game from 14 that I was talking about where he made the miraculous comeback. There's a guy open on 3rd and 6. He runs a shallow in-breaking route. There is no one, soft zone coverage. They're giving up the first down. And there's good protection. And there wasn't a lot of good protection for Christian Hackenberg. There was one game, I want to say, I think it was against Temple, where he gets sacked like 10 times. Like, this offensive line was not great in front of him, but he has protection on this particular play. Pocket is in front of him, it's clean. He sees the receiver, he's wide open, and he short hops him. And literally, it's a 7-yard pass to a receiver that's open. It's a 3rd and 6. Easy pickup. This guy will catch it. If he throws it on the money, he'll catch it and run for another 7 and pick up 13 in the first down, keep the sticks moving. He short hops it. And that's what you'll get from time to time from Christian Hackenberg, where you're just like, wow, that was really inaccurate. He'll miss high, he'll miss low. When he's out of the pocket and, bootlegs, he'll throw it low. There was one time where his tight end had to go dig the football on a bootleg. If he hits him cleanly, the tight end probably picks up another 5 to 7 yards. But because he had to dig the football off the turf and stop it from hitting the ground, he has to go down, break his stride, catch the football. He only ended up getting 5 yards on a play that probably could have went for 10 in the first down. It's those little things, those inaccuracies that kill me with Christian Hackenberg. He misses way too many throws. For a guy that you expected so much out of coming out of high school and a guy that we've seen play at a high level before, it just seems like his game regressed over time, and he needs confidence, is what I think. And I think that's why he left Penn State, because he could have went back for his senior season, and some people actually urged him to go back. I don't think he should have went back. I agree with him coming out because I don't think his relationship with head coach James Franklin was all that great. When he left Penn State and he thanked everyone, he omitted James Franklin. Mistake, not a mistake, I don't know, I don't care. at the end of the day, I don't think that was a good situation for him. There wasn't enough talent around him for him to flourish. I think he needs confidence, and if he goes to the right place, Houston, I think he can get his confidence back. And I think he can be the guy that we saw in that freshman year at Penn State, the guy that wasn't throwing the football to the opposition, the guy that wasn't taking a bunch of needless sacks, a guy that was much more confident and sure of his abilities in the pocket and didn't feel the need to have to win the game by himself. I think Christian Hackenberg is a guy that you need to develop, but if he is in the right situation and is given the confidence and the targets and is protected, I think we can see the guy that we saw early on in his collegiate career. That's Christian Hackenberg in the top 5 quarterbacks to me in this upcoming draft. We may be able to double back and come back and talk about more quarterbacks, but for now, that's it. We'll move on from the quarterbacks to the guys that bag the quarterbacks. The NFL is all about quarterbacks and the ability to stop quarterbacks. So we'll come back and we'll talk about edge rushers next. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room. Come back and join me as I continue to break down everything. And everything. National Football League. See you next time when we'll dive into the crop of edge rushers in the 2016 NFL Draft Prospects 101 series.
There's plenty more where that came from. While you're here, subscribe to the channel. If you want more Louie Tee, be sure to follow me on Twitter at InTheLabRoom, or you can like the Facebook page at In The Lab Room. That's In The Lab Room on Facebook and at In The Lab Room on Twitter. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so.